Hey everybody, welcome back to Ryan Makes Sense. Today we are looking at the dearest and beloved Chalice Brands. If you don't know, the company did go into receivership last year to protect itself from filing bankruptcy and owing $35 million. Going into receivership protected it from losing or having to pay that $35 million. We'll go ahead and look and see who now owns Chalice Brands after receivership, how much they paid, what the future looks like. We'll look and see the decision to take the company private. We'll also go ahead and see who owns the Chalice stock and have any insiders sold. So, first thing we're going to look at is this article I found from Harris Slowoski. Like I said, they did go into receivership, claiming some of the $35 million owed. This allowed them to reorganize without having to file for bankruptcy. This article goes on just noting that Chalice face planted, got hit with a really weak market in Oregon. Going through following the Oregon receiver's appointment about the marketing Oregon assets energetically, including 22 cannabis license, there was only 4 offers before the bid deadline. The sale price of Chalice Brands was $3 million for all locations and with 3 undesirable stores. During the bid process, interested parties who were willing to sign an NDA gained access to the data room, presumably to look at revenues, performance, metrics, etc. This article, the person who wrote this article did not have access to the data room. But with that $3 million price, they don't owe any liabilities to any of the landlords, vendors, partners, which is unfortunate. However, stick with me here and we'll see what they're doing today to make amends. So we'll get there. All right. So looking further, at this point, we should ask who's getting screwed here. It is going to be the Oregon cannabis businesses, the third parties, the landlords, like I said, service providers, vendors that Chalice owes money to, and they will never be repaid. Remember, never be repaid, but we'll take that with us. Okay. Who's buying the Chalice assets? APCO LLC. I don't know if you're familiar with Chalice Brands, but it was actually founded by William Simpson, and he is buying back the company basically. We'll go ahead and we'll just read this. So the winning bidder is APCO LLC. Well, they're formed in Delaware with William Simpson and Gary Zipfel. As you may recall, Simpson founded Chalice Farms in 2014. He sold to Golden Leaf in 2017. He left or ousted. In an article that we'll read, he quit due to personal reasons. But now we have William Simpson and Gary Zipfel as the owners, and we'll go ahead and see how much shares they own in this private company. This once public company that's now private. Okay, just kind of scooting along here. Just making sure if there's anything else worth going down. Okay, this could be a bunch of smoke with no fire. I don't know. Fairness also requires an acknowledgement that the Chalice Insiders company brought more cash to the table than the other bidders in the hapless Oregon process. This author hopes that someone digs into this. It feels like we're sitting on half the story. The proposed sale optics are problematic in that all of these Chalice assets are teed up for transfer to Chalice Insiders and for a song. Meanwhile, unpaid farmers, landlords, and everyone else would take it in the shorts upon court approval. So we'll keep tracking this one as it works its way through the receivership process. It's gone through the receivership process. I can't speak. William Simpson and Gary Zipfel do own it. Here is their filing. It does have their personal information on it. I'm not going to go down to that, but you can Google it. Basically, APCO LLC. It was formed in Delaware for tax purposes, but it does have a principal place of business in Portland, Oregon. And here's a phone number, an 808 phone number. Interesting. I wonder who that could be. 808 is Hawaii area code. William Simpson left this company for personal reasons to Hawaii with his family. We'll continue on. Anyway, here's APCO LLC. Oregon cannabis entrepreneur repurchases company 7 years after cashing out. Simpson sold Chalice Farms in 2017 in a deal worth $60 million. He just bought it back for $3 million. In a weird twist of fate, perhaps a full circle moment, William Simpson finalized the buyback of his own company for $3 million after selling it in a cash and stock deal worth north of $60 million. For 19.3 million cash, 83.4 million shares of common stock, but earnouts built into the deals multiplied the actual value. Chalice, which at its height had 16 storefront dispensaries which was a premier cannabis company in Oregon, but it fell in hard times in 2023, pushed into receivership with unpaid debts of $35 million. The assets were put up for auction this summer. We just went over APCO LLC. Ironically, Simpson and his partners were among the creditors that Golden Leaf still owed money to when Chalice went into receivership. He estimated that Golden Leaf was still short by $3 million, which he now expects to write off as bad debt. And he said the stock shares took a nosedive. The only way to get that back now is to make the company successful again. I don't know why I said it like that. That $3 million amount, in yet another coincidence, is exactly how much Simpson bid in last year for the receivership auction for the Chalice assets. To his surprise, he won. Simpson said he wasn't thinking he was going to get it. He was hopeful, a lot of big players, yada, yada, yada. After the $3 million bid and after all the paperwork is finalized, the deal closed in December. Simpson landed 13 retail shops, a 10,000 square foot greenhouse capable of producing 300 pounds of cannabis a month, a wholesale license, an extraction lab and edibles kitchen, corporate headquarters, and 4 cultivation and manufacturing licenses in Nevada that have yet to be stood up. Fun fact, I'm an early investor and I do live in Nevada. Golden Leaf had another 3 cannabis shops that Simpson declined to bid on because he said they were in poor locations. New ownership means a major turn the page for both Simpson and Chalice Farms. Okay, so going through, here's some history. You guys can read as I slowly go through. I'm just looking for key points. Yeah, so Simpson said he was running away. His mom passed. It was just a bad time. Does it mention that he moved to Hawaii with his Kiki? Okay. All right, what's next? Since winning the bid for Chalice next year, Simpson already has rejuvenated the company. Let's hear about this. Though he declined to go into details about Golden Leaf's flawed approach, Simpson's first step was to take the company private again to give the business more financial flexibility and to refocus away from shareholders and onto customers and employees. 2 things. Companies go from public to private all the time. It does allow for flexibility to make things whole again, make things right. Think Twitter is a perfect example. Elon Musk bought Twitter. I don't want to say it was a mess of a company, but he took it private, turned the company. I don't know if he turned it around. I'm not going to get into speculation, but he did a ton of layoffs. He's been righting the ship. You could see the major differences it's had and impacts compared to mainstream media. But that's an example. companies go from public to public all the time. Now, a question you might be asking yourself, would they go public again? We'll get there. So, so he took the company private. Simpson also expanded cannabis inventory selection at all the cannabis stores, lowered much of the product pricing, and updated a lot of the standard operating procedures at the company's cultivation and manufacturing facilities to both cut costs and improve quality. Simpson said the revamped Chalice shops are like cannabis Candyland with something for everybody in every price category. We're taking flower that is worth 1,500 wholesale and making it worth 400 per pound because of the stuff they did post production ruined it. So really quickly, we were able to identify problems, which were easy to change. From our standpoint, we are a brand new entity. Day one was January 1, 2024. We're already up 20%. Simpson said week over week, stores are getting busier. Simpson said he'll eventually turn his attention to Nevada and the 4 licenses he owns there. But first, Chalice has to wait for Oregon markets to stabilize, given that it's still saturated with cannabis companies in every sector. Yada yada yada. Simpson said that Oregon lawmakers have now established a rule that any marijuana company that's behind in state tax liabilities won't be able to renew their business permits, which will help thin out the markets and make the survivors healthier. It really needs to be 50% of where we are today, Simpson said, for the Oregon cannabis retail landscape, which includes 783 licensed dispensaries. Right now, it's tunnel vision on making the Oregon experience great. All right, so a quick takeaway here. I think he is turning the company around, number one. Number two, he says they're up 20%. There's always two sides of the story. We would have to see the data, and they're not making the data public, and they're not required to due to their filing status. So, um, yeah, I mean, as a shareholder, I own way too much of this. I'm down way too much. But again, my shares are just sitting. So, we also do have this blog from Chalice Farms. It was actually written a couple months ago. Um, I I'm just gonna skim through and see if there is overlap here. Okay, so they took over 10 operational stores with plans to open 3 more along the way. Implementing a cash on delivery system for vendors. This wasn't just about keeping the cash on check. Crucial for rebuilding trust with partners and suppliers who had seen better days with the company. Boom. Making amends with the bridges they burned, not paying them timely or in full. Um, so that's really good, in my opinion. Okay, looking here, renewed focus on customer satisfaction. Going down. On the production front, Simpson is geared up for growth, especially in the extraction sector with local competitors bowing out. Chalice is ready to ramp up capacity and welcome new clients. Yada, yada, yada. The Golden Grail Group. In a strategic move, Simpson has brought Chalice and its various branches under a new umbrella called the Golden Grail Group. I do have the Golden Grail Group here. Funny enough, guess who it's represented by? AFCO LLC, which we look here. We do have Gary Zipfel and William Simpson. Again, we have his Hawaii address there. So that 808 phone number we have on record, wherever it was 808, which is a Hawaii number, which is Bill Simpson, William Simpson. Okay. So there was some overlap there. I wanted to actually see. I thought I saw an article with oh, that's right. I was gonna pay for this article. So in this article here that was released in February, um, it does talk about. It's gonna block me out in just a minute. Here we go. They got 10 stores operating with 3. Oh, right when we were just reading it. Let's do that again. Can I get a screenshot? Uh, so they're opening a grow facility in Hillsborough. I don't know if you saw it, but now my screenshot thing works. Okay. So anyway, that was also what I want to show you. The last thing I want to show you, the company's private. Who owns the shares? Looking at this, and I will drop these links in the video description so you can see it. Gary Zipfel actually owns 5.4 million shares of this company. He is one of the co-owners of APCO LLC. Just out of bias as a shareholder, I do think they will go public again. Um, will it be 2024? Probably not. 2025, maybe 2026, hopefully. Anyway, I've had these shares since 2019. I was buying it back when the ticker symbol is GLDFF. If you remember that. Gary Zipfel does own 5.4 million. All these other insiders own a million shares plus. I mean, you've got Megan Miller, who's now over at Meraki as the chief revenue officer. She owns quite a bit. Richard Miller, John Varghese owns 1.7 million. There are no sales listed here, which goes to show number one, it's probably not worth taking the loss. But number two, it also just gives me some confidence that there is potential that Chalice could become public again. So if you've made it this far and you are enjoying this Chalice Farms saga, consider subscribing, leave a comment, hit the like button, dislike button. But yeah, that is an update on Chalice Brands, and I hope you're doing well. I will see you mañana. Adios.